Hey everybody, it's Mr. Amstead, and I was looking for a video that I thought I had created, but it turns out I had not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate my newsletter template and set up using Autocrat. So bear with me because I am literally doing this live right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and start a new Google Sheet. So I'm going to start that up here. And the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to install an add-on called Autocrat. Now, I already have it installed here, but if you just click on Get Add-ons, and then do a search for Autocrat. It's going to pop up, or as you can see, it's actually one of the first ones that'll pop up in the list. Go ahead and install that. The next thing that you're going to want to do, if you're doing newsletters, what I would do is maybe do something like this. Newsletter information, give it some sort of name. Then what you're going to do is I would go ahead and set up the add-on first, because once you have it set up, then going back and tweaking it is 10 times easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on or hover over Autocrat. I'm going to click Launch. It's going to take a minute for it to cook. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pop this little pop-up on your screen. Um, then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up a new merge job. So I'm going to click New Job. I'm going to give it a name, and for me, I'm going to do Newsletter Sample. But for you, I would probably call it like Weekly Newsletter or something like that. Nobody's going to see this except for you. Then what you're going to do is click Next. The next thing it's going to ask is, do you want to choose a template, or do you want to create one? You can see down here I have my recently used templates that I've created, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an example. I do also want to point out I use uh, Google Docs for this, but as you can see, you can actually use slides also. So if you're doing things like certificates or something like that, that's easier to lay out in Google Slides, you can do that. But since I'm doing the newsletter thing, I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Example. The great thing about clicking on the example template is then what you can do is go in and format that to look the way that you want, instead of having to completely start from nothing, which can be done once you've got the hang of it, but this is a good way to start. So what I would do is go ahead and use that example template. Now you can see in the background there, it adds some information right onto our merge sheet. This is going to be part of that demo information. Once that's done, you'll see it's called Autocrat Demo Template. Then I'm going to click Next. And then at this point, what it's going to ask you is, which tab do you want to pull your source data from? Do you have a header row, which we do right now, and where's your data? Then after that, it's going to give you options for what item you're pulling in, what is the name of that item that's going to show up in your template, and what type of item is it. And all of that is right here. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on these items because, frankly, I'm going to delete all of them before we get too far. What I am going to do right now, though, is I'm going to click Next. And the next thing you'll see is the file name, demo merge job run on, and then the time. It's going to create a Google Doc. I'm going to go ahead and change that to a PDF because I actually want to print this out as a newsletter to my parents. So I'm going to click PDF. I'm going to click Next. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. What I'm going to do is click Choose Folder. And what I would recommend is actually making a new folder. I completely forgot. You're going to want to do that before you actually go in and click on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my drive, and I'm going to make a new folder. And for this, I would name it for yourself. I would name it something like newsletter output. Again, nobody's going to see it, but this folder is going to have to stay in there permanently. And you can see here in the background, I've already got a couple of folders called Autocrat demo folder because I got really sloppy with naming these things. So I'm going to call it newsletter samples. I'm going to hit create. Now that I have that, I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click choose folder. And I'm going to click on that newsletter samples and then click select. Once I've got that, I'm going to go over here and delete this. And so now that I've got that done, I'm going to hit next again. It's going to ask me for a dynamic folder reference. I don't know what this is, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to click next, and then the merge conditions. And what this is going to do, whoops, actually, nope, never mind. You're not going to click on anything on that. Sorry about that. You're going to click next. This is what, actually, let me back up because I blew past that pretty quick. The merge condition allows you to set up uh, criteria under which the merge is going to be run. For example, you could say if the column grade is larger than 70%, then email a certificate saying that you passed, or above 90%, maybe you have like an amazing student certificate, something like that. Again, that's probably for another time. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on next. At this point, I am going to share the doc. I'm going to share it as a PDF. And then I'm just going to leave everything else set as it is. Down here, I'm going to set who it's going to. Right now, I'm going to leave it set up as going to me, simply because I have not set up an email address for my parents yet. Down here, this is the subject of your email, and what I'm going to do so that you can see this later is I'm just going to put subject, and then right here, your document is ready, and then closing. Anything that's encapsulated in a pair of greater than, less than brackets, that is going to be replaced by a column in your newsletter. So you can see right here, there's a closing, and right here, there's a closing column. Also, if you're like, well, I'm not sure how to do that, if you click on this blue triangle over on the left, this will give you all of the items that you have available to put into your email, subject line, etc. But what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to leave it all as it is. So now that I've done this, it's good. The email is going to go to me with this subject, with this whole thing as the subject, and then this will be the body. And then the output will be a PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm not going to do anything with these triggers, but I do want to explain what they do. This one here allows you to run this when a new line, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, when a new line is added to your form. This would be, or I mean to your sheet. This would be great if you had a form that you wanted somebody to fill out and then have a PDF sent out after they fill it out. This is really great for that. This allows you to run it at a specific time. For example, if you had a sheet that somebody else was updating and every night at midnight you wanted it to email out all the results, you could do something like that. Again, I'm going to leave both of these off right now. And now I'm going to click save. What that's going to do is that's going to save my job. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and open up my email here, so that you'll be able to see exactly what is going on with this thing. And sorry, I'm just cleaning up my email really quick so that you don't have to mess with it. So let me take those items out of my inbox. Okay, so now you can see I've got that demo job. If I want to run it, I can click right here. If I want to edit it, I click here. If I want to preview it, I can click here. This is something I would recommend you do. What that's going to do is when you click on preview, it's going to go through and load up the page and basically create one demo for you. It does take a little while to run, so you'll watch this load in here. And when that's done, and you actually get a result, then you're ready to go ahead and preview this. At this point, you're just going to click preview for first mergeable row. What it's going to do is for the first row that it can run this, it's going to go ahead and run this. And we're going to let it do its thing here for just a second. So now you can see it successfully created. If I go over to my inbox, you'll see I got an email called Autocrat Preview. This lets me know that it is just a preview. And you can see here that it ran, and it's showing me that this is where it's going to go. This is the email body. The item itself, if we go back over here, is this item. So if I click on this, it's going to open up that PDF. So you can see here, this is what it actually created. This is going to ultimately be your newsletter. So at this point, all we've done is we have set up the basics of Autocrat, walked through setting up the demo job, and that is it. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually customize this and turn it into a real newsletter. Thanks for watching.